All right, hello everyone. So I am going to be making two videos to help you through the steps of making Soundwave art. I like this sort of art project because it connects science to music and to other forms of pop culture. So in this video, I'm going to go through some introductory information about sound waves, just the basics, so you know how this all works hand in hand, science and art. And in the next video, I will lead you through the steps of making sound wave art. So we experience sound when our eardrums vibrate. This affects the bones of our inner ear, which turn the vibration into a signal that's sent by the cochlear nerve to our brains. Now, what causes our eardrums to vibrate in the first place is a disturbance called a sound wave, usually one traveling through the air. A sound wave is basically a series of compressions in the air. You can think of it like air molecules being pushed closer together, then pulled apart, then pushed together again. So the air itself pushes and pulls on your eardrum, causing a vibration and ultimately a sound sensation. So in this animation, you can see a sound wave moving from the left to the right as air particles get pushed together, then pulled apart, then pushed together again. If you could see a sound wave, this is what it would actually look like. However, people often represent sound with a stereotypical up-down wave, similar to the waves we see on the surface of water. The waves are bigger when the air is more compressed and smaller when the air is less compressed or more pulled apart. We can talk about some properties of sound by using one of these wave diagrams. First, the height of the wave is the amplitude. Amplitude is related to the strength of the wave. How far apart the waves are gives you the wavelength. Notice when the waves are really skinny, in other words, short wavelength, you can fit more waves. This is the frequency of the waves, how many waves you can fit into a period of time. Short wavelength is high frequency, in other words, the waves are passing by more frequently. Long wavelength is low frequency, the waves are passing by less frequently. When we talk about sound, there are two basic properties that we seem to notice the most: loudness and pitch. When we sense loudness, we are sensing how much energy a sound wave has. For the most part, loudness is determined by the amplitude of the sound wave. When we sense pitch, or how high or low a sound is, we are sensing the frequency of the sound waves. So how does this relate to our sound wave art project? Well, you can use what you know about the properties of waves to create an illustration that represents a sound you like, such as a line from a song, movie, or from a famous speech. Then you can use that design in art projects such as posters, paintings, ceramics, any number of things, digital art. I will go through these steps in greater detail in the next video, but the basic idea is that you observe and write down how the sound clip changes in loudness and pitch from beginning to end. Then you draw the wave based on that information. You draw the waves taller when the sound is louder, shorter when the sound is quieter, wider when the sound is low pitch, and skinnier when the sound is high pitch. Even if the wave you've drawn isn't a perfect one-to-one model of the sound, it can still be a very good representation of that line, of that sound clip. The most important thing is that you are showing relative changes in loudness and pitch. You're showing it changing from louder to quieter, higher pitch to lower pitch. After doing a rough sketch, spend some time transferring the design to the final project, the poster, whatever it is. If you write the words from the sound clip, the lyrics, above, below, or on the top of the sound wave, it can be very clear what is being shown. And when you throw in color, shapes, pictures, the entire art project can end up looking really interesting. So stay tuned for my next video where I go through an example of this process and give you some advice on how to make sound wave art. Thank you for watching.